Welcome to Montclair's Channel 34's Senior of the Month program. I'm Barbara Chase, and our Senior of the Month for December 2021 is Mr. John Manners.
Morning.
How are you, John?
Fine, thank you.
Good to see you. Nice to finally meet you.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Okay, I want to say congratulations for being nominated Senior of the Month.
Well, thank you very much. I'm flattered.
Heard some very interesting things about you, and we thought that we would like for the township to know.
Good. Well, I'm happy for the township to know too.
Okay. So let's start with your birth date. When were you born?
1945, September 25th.
Okay. And where were you born?
New York City.
New York City. Okay, so when did you come to Montclair?
1983. It was a job change within the same company. I moved from one division of Time Incorporated. I worked for Time Life Books in the Washington, D.C. area, and then I moved to HBO, another branch of the company, in 1983, and then based in New York. Looked around, and we knew three couples who had recently moved to Montclair, and they all were very excited about the place. And we looked around, and we liked what we saw. Old houses, sidewalks, diverse population, lots of other journalists, and it just, an easy commute. It was just very appealing all the way around, and we were very happy, obviously, having stayed here 38 years. It's happy with our choice.
You were hooked and you stayed.
Yeah.
I'm glad you stayed. Okay, are you currently employed?
I run a little nonprofit. My second career, I was a journalist for 30 years, mostly with Time Inc. Mm-hmm. But in 2004, I started a nonprofit that's, well, it's based in my attic, but it really runs out of Kenya.
Tell me about it.
I have a long history with Kenya. I was there as a child because my father's an anthropologist, and he took the family there once for a year when he was doing field work. I was 12 years old. I was very impressionable. I became very attached to the place, the country, the region where I had stayed, and so on. After college, I joined the Peace Corps and chose Kenya, and was chosen for Kenya, which is one of these little bits of bureaucratic serendipity that doesn't often happen. And then I kind of engineered my posting as a high school teacher to a school that was 2 miles from where I had lived as a 12-year-old. Oh. In fact, it was on the same Catholic mission compound as a primary school that I had gone to with my village friends.
So everything was just kind of falling into place for you.
Oh, I was, a pig in whatever, it was perfect. Anyway, so that was the history. I stayed 3 years in the Peace Corps. As a journalist, I developed a little sideline covering the exploits of Kenyan runners. I would imagine most of the audience knows what Kenyan runners do, which is to say beat everybody else. Yes. And I had been a track coach there while teaching English in high school. So I kind of knew my way around, and I had this sideline as a journalist that got me there, half a dozen times for magazine pieces and documentaries. And I had maintained contact with a number of the people that I had met in the course of this work, one of whom was an international athlete who was also a PhD and a professor of sports science at Kenyatta University, which is just outside Nairobi. And he and I had talked for several years about the possibility of helping kids from our rural corner of Kenya, he came from the same area that I had worked in, into top-tier American universities. Now, for many years, Kenyan athletes, Kenyan runners, had been recruited by American colleges. but mostly the colleges that were doing this kind of recruiting were either sort of second-tier state institutions or Bible colleges, little fairly obscure places. There had never been, to my knowledge, a rural Kenyan, like the child of a peasant farmer, let's say, admitted to an Ivy League school. My friend Mike and I wanted to see if we could get a couple of kids into college, into elite colleges in the U.S., just to kind of balance things out, see if we could get some of these children of peasant farmers. Anyway, so he went around to headmasters of the best high schools in our little region and asked for, kids who fit this pattern. That is to say, very bright students who could probably cope in a competitive American college. He found 6 kids. I came over. I had my airfare paid by the then world record holder in the marathon, who was interested in our little effort. And my friend had found a venue for us where I could stay, where the kids could stay, and we had a classroom. And I gave them SAT prep for a month and a half, and we talked about colleges, and we figured out who was going to apply where, and we worked a little bit on applications. In the end, we got 5 of the 6 in, 3 of them to Harvard, 1 to Wellesley, and 1 to Brandeis. We could go to the website of the organization. It's called Kenya Scholar Access Program,
Okay,
KenSAP.
We can put it on the screen.
Oh, good. KenSAP, KENSAP. And the website is kensap.org. And there's a donor button on every page of the website. You
Can't miss it.
won't miss it, yeah.
Based on all of this that you've been doing for the last, 15 plus years?
Yeah.
What are some of the most important things that you've learned that impacts your life?
Well, it's been the most enjoyable job I've ever had. I was an okay journalist. Always hated deadlines. I still have deadlines in this job. It's just somehow they're easier to deal with when other person's fates are involved. If it's just you who's screwing up when you miss a deadline, it's one thing. But if you're going to mess up somebody else's chances for, a better life by missing a deadline, I don't miss the deadlines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also fun because, of course, I go to Kenya twice a year, except during COVID. But I go twice a year. Sometimes more. I see old friends, but I meet these wonderful kids. They're just superb kids. I mean, we have several hundred applicants every year, and we narrow the field down to 20, which is
difficult.
Extremely painful.
Yeah.
But the 20 kids that we wound up with are invariably superb in many ways, and that's a great joy. And the big frustration for me with COVID is that I haven't gotten to know the kids personally the way I normally do. So we know them on paper, we know them by WhatsApp and by Zoom classes and stuff, but anyway.
I'll have to say WhatsApp and Zoom are things that are kind of a little bit still foreign to me, but my grandchildren are trying to.
That's the best way. I mean, this is not something that I am comfortable with, but
Absolutely.
I get talked through it, so I can manage it.
Well, I was going to ask you what your plans are for the future, but I'm pretty certain that you will be working this project for as long as it works for you.
Well, as long as before I, am no longer able to travel and sort of fall apart in other ways, but I'm hoping that won't be for a while. No, but I just more or less by luck have found an extremely capable co-director who will continue to run the program once I am no longer able to do it. And he's in fact doing virtually all the administration now. So that takes a burden off me because I was always a crappy manager. And I can concentrate on the kids and helping them with their application essays and writing recommendations and that sort of thing.
Well, I want to say I wish you so much luck and success in that project in the future because it sounds absolutely wonderful.
Well, it's the best thing I've ever done, and we're very proud of the way it's worked.
John, thank you so very much for being here and for talking to us about, what is the name?
KenSAP?
KenSAP.
Yeah.
KenSAP. Yes.
My wife has always thought that I should have picked a more euphonious name, but the acronym kind of worked, so we were stuck with it.
Sounds fine.
Anyway, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Good.
John Manners.